I'm 22 now, and for the past 4 years, I've been living away from home. I moved out at 18 to go to college, and then ended up landing a job in the same city, so I just never moved back. Sure, I'd visit from time to time, but that was about it, nothing more than short stays. And honestly, I never really missed the place I grew up in, because my childhood and teen years weren't exactly great. Growing up, I got picked on constantly, for just about anything and everything. My dad passed away when I was 10, so we didn't have much money while I was growing up. We weren't starving, but we lived off the bare essentials, just enough to get by. On top of that, I was tall and super skinny, which gave me this awkward, lanky look that people loved to make fun of. Kids would call me names like Slenderman and laugh, and I'd try to brush it off, but deep down, it really stung. High school was the worst of it, things got downright cruel by then. There was this group of girls who seemed to live for tearing other people down, and I happened to be one of their favorite targets. They bullied pretty much everyone, to be fair, but with me, it felt personal. Because of them, I developed insecurities about literally everything: my body, my clothes, even the way I spoke or carried myself. It got to the point where I just wished I could vanish altogether. One day, they mocked me for the length of my jeans, just because they stopped a little above my ankles since I was too tall for them. I didn't want to ask my mom for new jeans because I knew we couldn't really afford another pair, so I kept wearing the same ones. But they wouldn't drop it, and the teasing got so relentless that I ended up running to the girls' bathroom crying. I locked myself in one of the stalls and just sat there sobbing, trying to pull myself together. But when I tried to leave, I realized the bathroom door had been locked from the outside. I could hear the girls outside laughing and giggling while I was stuck inside, banging on the door in a panic. They only ran off when the janitor showed up and let me out. Even after that horrible incident, there wasn't much I could do, mostly because of my mom. Right after the first few times I got bullied, I told her everything. But instead of helping me or standing up for me, she told me to keep my head down and not make a fuss. I never really got why she wanted me to just stay quiet about it, and no matter how many times I asked, her answer was always the same. She'd say we were poor, and we couldn't afford to make enemies or pick fights with every person who insulted us. She reminded me she worked long hours and didn't have time to go to school just to argue with some teenage girls on my behalf. She kept telling me I needed to toughen up, that life wasn't fair, and I had to learn to deal with it. Worse, she even banned me from reporting the bullying myself, saying it would involve other parents, and she didn't want any part of that drama. I didn't want to keep letting people walk all over me, but I did, because my mom asked me to, and because I knew how hard she was working just to keep us afloat. When I graduated high school and left for college in another state, it felt like I was finally hitting the reset button. My dad had set aside a college fund before he died, so my education was already taken care of. My mom still helped out with a little money here and there, and I picked up a part-time job after classes to stay busy and cover personal stuff. For the first time, I could afford to buy a couple of nice outfits and feel a little more like everyone else. And thankfully, college was a different world, people were more mature, and nobody made fun of me. Most folks were kind, open, and respectful, which was a breath of fresh air. I'd still come home during the holidays to see my mom and a few old friends, but deep down, I was always relieved to go back to school. Being home just brought back too many painful memories. Then, just a few days ago, I came home for Christmas, and this time, it was my first holiday back as a working adult. I wanted to do something special for my mom to thank her for everything she'd done for me, so I picked out a beautiful dress and a pair of shoes to go with it. It was meant to be a small gesture, a way to show her how much I appreciated her doing her best for me through the hardest times. But before I had the chance to surprise her, she dropped a surprise of her own. A few days before I flew in, she sent me a message saying she'd been seeing someone for a few months and thought it was finally time I met him. She told me I was grown enough now to accept it, and honestly, I was happy for her. After losing my dad, she stayed single for years, so I figured this could be a good thing for her. I did think it was a little odd that she never mentioned this guy before, but I chalked it up to her wanting to protect me or not knowing how to bring it up. I asked her who he was, but she refused to give me any details. She wanted it to be a surprise. So, I met my mom's mystery man just a couple of days ago, and I'm still completely furious about everything that happened. When I walked through the door, my mom said her boyfriend and his kids were already there, and she blindfolded me to lead me into the living room. I was genuinely excited. I even brought chocolates and flowers to make a good first impression. But the second she took the blindfold off, my heart dropped. Standing right in front of me was the same girl who bullied me all through high school, smiling at me like nothing had ever happened. She was holding her little brother's hand, who looked like he was maybe 14 or 15. I could hear her dad saying something, trying to greet me, but my brain was in complete fog. I couldn't process a word. After a few stunned seconds, I turned around and walked away while he was still mid-sentence. I went straight upstairs to my old room without saying a word, and I heard her dad asking if I was okay as I walked off. Once inside, I locked the door behind me and tried to breathe, but my thoughts were racing. My mom followed me up, clearly annoyed, and started scolding me for being rude and embarrassing her in front of her boyfriend. She told me to come back down and apologize right away. But I cut her off and asked how long she'd been seeing this man, because at that moment, I truly believed she had kept this from me on purpose. It hit me then, she probably waited to tell me all of this just so I'd still come home, and she could spring the whole thing on me face to face. The way she dodged my question about how long they'd been together told me everything I needed to know. When she finally admitted it had been going on for nearly 7 years, everything suddenly made sense. That's when it all clicked, why she always brushed off my complaints, why she never stood up for me. It wasn't that she didn't believe me, she just didn't want to risk upsetting the man she was secretly dating, or his daughter, the one who made my life hell. I felt sick to my stomach realizing this wasn't just betrayal, it was deliberate silence, all to protect them, not me. I told her flat out to leave me alone because I honestly couldn't stand to look at her. She tried to say that she kept it all hidden because she knew I missed Dad, and she didn't want to hurt me. As if that was the reason I was furious. As if missing Dad was why I was falling apart in front of her. I reminded her, no, called her out, for lying to me for years and letting me suffer every single day at school while she could have done something about it. She could have stood up for me, told her boyfriend that his daughter was being cruel, and demanded that he parent her. Instead, she stayed silent and let me rot just so she wouldn't rock the boat. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive her for that. She said their relationship was still new at the time and that she didn't want to ruin it by confronting him about his daughter's behavior. She kept trying to justify it, like any of this could be defended. But I wouldn't accept her excuses. Eventually, she backed off and told me she'd be ready to talk whenever I decided to leave my room. She said dinner would be at 9 and that I'd better come downstairs. But I had zero intention of talking to her or anyone else. The more I thought about it, the more disgusted I felt. My mother chose being someone's girlfriend over being my mom. She should have protected me. That's what a mother is supposed to do. Instead, she let me drown so she could hold on to her little secret relationship. And honestly, the fact that she thought that weak explanation would fix everything just made it worse. Sitting there in that room, I started remembering all the nights I cried myself to sleep in that same bed. It made me angrier with each passing minute. And then I did something rash. Maybe stupid. But I was hurting, and I wasn't thinking clearly. I called the police and reported my mother. What I wanted was to sue her for everything she let happen to me. But instead of going the legal route right away, I just snapped and called the cops. They showed up pretty quickly, and it took me a while to explain what was going on. I was emotional and barely making sense. Meanwhile, my mom and her boyfriend were downstairs trying to make me sound crazy, insisting I was just overreacting. Thankfully, the officers seemed to realize I wasn't dangerous, I was just emotionally overwhelmed. They suggested I talk to a family lawyer instead, and after that, they left. Even after they were gone, I couldn't calm down. My heart was pounding, and I could feel a panic attack building. But my mom lost it, she wouldn't even let me go back upstairs. She started screaming at me, calling me an ungrateful brat, saying I'd just done the lowest thing possible by calling the cops on her. Her boyfriend backed her up, saying I had gone way too far. I wanted to argue back, tell them off, but I couldn't. I felt like the room was spinning. My chest was tight, and everything started to blur. I was so dizzy I could barely stand. And then, nothing. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hospital bed. Apparently, I'd fainted, passed out from a mix of stress, dehydration, and not eating anything. I hadn't had a proper meal or even a glass of water at my mom's place, so it wasn't really a surprise. A nurse explained that I'd been unconscious for about an hour, and that my mother had been waiting outside to talk to me. At first, I felt a little guilty, like maybe I'd gone too far. But that guilt disappeared fast when she came in. She looked me in the eye and said she understood that I felt betrayed, but still insisted that she had done the right thing. She told me flat out that she stood by her decision, and didn't see anything wrong with prioritizing her relationship over me. Then she had the audacity to downplay the bullying, saying her boyfriend's daughter never meant any real harm. That it was all just harmless fun, and I was too sensitive for taking it to heart. Even lying in a hospital bed, after collapsing from emotional and physical exhaustion, she still tried to blame me. She expected me to apologize for calling the cops, for reacting the way I did, for making her boyfriend uncomfortable. That was my breaking point. I told her to get out. Just leave the room and stay away from me. Since that day, I've packed up my things and checked into a hotel for the rest of my visit. She didn't even try to stop me. Now I'm seriously thinking about suing her for emotional neglect, for failing to provide a safe home, for standing by while I was tormented for years. But I keep hesitating, because if I do that, whatever little relationship we have left will be destroyed. And the truth is, I don't really have anyone else. No siblings, no close relatives. Just her. Still, I don't think I can let this go. I've spent my entire life letting things slide, being quiet, staying small, but this is too big. And no matter how much I try to see things from her side, I just can't excuse what she did. I don't know, maybe I'm the bad one here for even considering legal action against my own mother. Update 1. I ended up learning a lot more about my mom and her boyfriend than I ever expected. I confided in one of my close friends about everything that had happened, and while she was surprised, she didn't seem entirely shocked. She told me that she had actually heard about my mom's relationship before, but didn't think the rumors were true. In fact, she said everyone in our neighborhood kind of knew about it, everyone but me. She never brought it up because I was always quiet and kept to myself, and she didn't want to hurt me over gossip she couldn't confirm. And apparently, the bullies never mentioned it either, probably because it involved their ringleader's dad. Yes. The girl who bullied me for years? Her dad was my mom's secret boyfriend. Turns out, he'd been cheating on his wife with my mother since I was a freshman in high school. People had seen them holding hands around the hospital where they both worked, my mom at the front desk, and him as a surgeon. So yeah, they had plenty of opportunity to sneak around. I was floored. All that time, so many people knew, and I was completely in the dark. I hated myself for being so introverted, for never picking up on any of it. Maybe if I had, I could have understood things sooner. Maybe even defended myself better. But what disgusts me the most is that this is the man she chose. A married man. A liar. And the father of the girl who made my life miserable. And now she has the nerve to lecture me about family loyalty? Yeah, she actually said that. While trying to guilt-trip me for calling the cops on her. The hypocrisy is unreal. From what I've gathered, her boyfriend finally left his wife just a few months ago. Now he and his son, some 14 or 15-year-old kid, live with my mom full-time. As for his daughter, the bully, she moved away around the same time I did. I don't think the bully even knows much about the full situation between her dad and my mom, which honestly just adds to how messy this all is. So yeah, it turns out that whole story my mother told me about this being some new relationship was a total lie. She didn't just start dating this man a few months ago, she's been involved with him for 8 years. She flat out tried to fool me, and I'm just disgusted. I really don't even have the words anymore. She still hasn't reached out, not even to say sorry. Update 2. Well, I did it. I filed the lawsuit. I'm officially suing my mother for emotional distress. Thankfully, my bosses agreed to let me work remotely while this plays out, and I'm so relieved they had my back. Since I obviously can't afford to keep throwing money at hotel rooms, I'm staying with a friend now. She welcomed me with open arms and seemed genuinely happy to have me around again. A few hours after she got served the papers, my mom called me in a complete rage. She wanted to know what the hell I thought I was doing. And I told her straight, I'm holding her accountable. She turned her back on me during the worst years of my life, and now she can cough up the money she never spent protecting me. I reminded her how she used to say we were too poor for her to show up at school or deal with my bullies. But now I know she was funneling money into a secret relationship with a married man, and I'm the one who paid the emotional price for it. I told her if nothing else, the compensation will help cover the therapy I'll definitely need because of everything she let happen. She went off, calling me ungrateful and insisting she did nothing wrong. But she didn't sound so confident anymore. Honestly, she sounded scared. Even if I end up losing this case, at least I'll know I fought back instead of swallowing it like I was always told to. For once, I didn't just let it go. I'm reaching out to some of my old classmates and teachers, hoping a few of them will be willing to support my case. So far, I haven't heard a word from either her boyfriend or that awful daughter of his, and honestly, I hope it stays that way. They're the last people I want anything to do with. Update 3. Well, I jinxed it. 2 days after my last update, my mom started bombarding me with texts saying I was making a huge mistake, that I'd regret this for the rest of my life. But I've made up my mind. There's no going back. Then, out of nowhere, she sends her boyfriend's daughter, my high school bully, as some kind of peace offering. I guess in my mom's mind, since this girl started the mess, maybe she could fix it too. Nice try. She showed up today. It was super awkward from the moment she walked in. I didn't want to look at her, let alone hear her voice. Honestly, I was totally okay with hating her forever because even now, after all these years, her words from high school still echo in my head. She started off with a weak apology, saying she was sorry for how she treated me back then. She admitted she was dumb and immature at the time and asked for my forgiveness. I didn't actually forgive her in my heart, but I said I did just to end the conversation and get her out of my space. But she didn't leave. Instead, she tried to lecture me about how, now that I've forgiven her, I should do the same with my mother. She even said she forgave her dad for cheating on her mom, so I should be able to forgive my mom too. Yeah, no. The only reason she forgave her dad was because he's loaded and she didn't want to be cut off financially. Her mom didn't even fight the divorce much, probably because she got a massive settlement and still receives alimony checks. So no, it wasn't love or loyalty. It was money. I told her that straight to her face. She turned bright red and snapped that I was just jealous because my mom never gave me a dime. And then she slipped, big time. She blurted out that her dad used to send my mom money every single month while we were in high school. And yet, my mom still let me believe we were broke. Even though we were poor, it turns out she had a secret source of income, she just chose to spend it on herself. Judging by the look on the bully's face, she wasn't supposed to reveal that part. But it was too late. I'd heard it. And we both knew that's going to be used in court. I told her to leave and she did. But as she walked out, she warned me that I was making a huge mistake by cutting off the only family I had. Well, joke's on her, because I don't consider my mother family anymore. If she'd protected me when I needed her to, I might have regretted cutting ties. But she didn't. So I don't. She made her choice a long time ago. I'm just finally responding to it. Update 4. Hey everyone, just checking in again. It's been a brutal couple of weeks. Between working full-time and assisting my lawyer every chance I get, I'm running on fumes. The final court date is approaching fast, and the pressure's through the roof. But the good news is, I've successfully proven every single one of my claims so far. My mom's boyfriend hired her a top-tier family attorney, of course he did. He's trying to crush me with money and delay tactics. But I've got the truth on my side. I've been fighting hard, and I'm not backing down. The stress has been unreal, but I'm hanging on. If this hearing goes well, I'll finally be free of all of them, for good. My mother, her boyfriend, and even the bully have started posting about me online, trying to turn people against me. But honestly, it's not working. A lot of people remember how I used to be quiet, bullied, kind. And now that same underdog reputation is helping me. People don't believe I'm this ungrateful monster they're trying to paint me as. They're seeing through it, and that gives me a little bit of hope. I just want this over. Winning won't just mean financial relief, it'll mean I finally stood up to the people who hurt me most. It'll mean I'm not that scared, helpless girl anymore. Final update. It's been 2 weeks since the last update and I can finally say it. I won. My mother was ordered to pay me $50,000 in damages for the emotional abuse she knowingly allowed for years. I still can't quite believe it, but the court believed me. They listened. They saw it for what it was. Of course, the first thing I did was pay my lawyer. And then, I gave my friend, who let me live with her during all of this, $3,000 as a thank you. She deserved every penny. I'm flying back home next week. Back to my life. I'm done with this chapter. Done with the lies. Done with the gaslighting. Done with the trauma. Naturally, my mom and her boyfriend are losing their minds on social media, talking about how disappointed they are. They're calling me a greedy, immoral daughter and claiming the court punished a good mother. But you know what? They can say whatever they want. Because I won. And my bully? She blocked me. That's fine too. Their opinions don't matter anymore. They lost and now they have to live with that. For the rest of their miserable little lives.